5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cooking the Books, where I read to you your book list that's collecting dust in the corner so you don't have to. I'm really glad you're all here, and happy Independence Day. Really excited just because it's a long time coming to get to this weekend for Fan Expo, so glad it's here. Crazy that it's over halfway through the year though, so I don't know where that came from. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. I know it's kind of like a weird, different time, so I definitely appreciate it. I was hoping like most of y'all have the day off, but if you don't, sorry if this kind of ruins your day's plans. Apologize if it ruins them at all, in case you had a barbecue that you're already at and all that crap. So appreciate you watching on the replay if you're not catching it live. So yeah, really glad to be here like usual. Thanks everybody for coming in. The Goddess, hello. Yes, unusual start time. We had a little combo earlier. I just didn't want I tried to pick the best time I felt would be good for if people had barbecues or they were eating later and all of that, like the different time zones. And I didn't want to cut into anybody doing fireworks with their family, or just going to fireworks shows, things like that. So hopefully it works. I know it's cutting into open bar time for any of y'all that watch that. So I appreciate anyone that's here instead of there. Let's see. Hey, Dom. Yeah. Welcome to Mountain Time. Although this is a different start time, so it's very, very different from your normal start time on the East Coast. So no worries if you're catching it on the replay. I appreciate it. Patrick, hello. Happy Independence Day, 4th of July, however you say it. And Kel, same to you. Thank you both for being here. You guys are awesome. Jess, hi, sweetheart. How's it going? Can't say long. That's okay. I know it's a holiday, so I appreciate anybody who even stops by and gives it a like and subscribes and all that stuff. I swear I'll get better at that. Those reminders. Hey, Selena, happy 4th. I'm really glad you guys are here. You know who I am. Or I used to have it as my name in parentheses, but switched it up to gal. Sometimes I decide to. See, I corrected it in my head, Jess. Glad I'm not the only one that noticed. Goddess is normally better at that stuff. Hey, JB. You know the thing. Yeah. Hello, Kaylee Scope. How are you? Good to see you here. Oh, you're Canadian. That's interesting. I was unaware. Happy belated Canada Day. Well, I'm super excited to read to y'all. I figured this would be a nice little special since Thursday did land on Independence Day. And I have this handy dandy little book right here. Yes, yes. I figured it'd be nice to read it to y'all because not a lot of people sit down and read it. And I had it on hand. To be completely honest, I haven't sat through and read the whole thing. So yeah, I figured it'd be fun to do this with y'all and get it out there. We can maybe do a little analysis of it. Not that I'm some great scholar or anything, but yeah. And for anyone who was unaware when I said Happy Canada Day, July 1st. Independence Day for them. Oh, well, I'm glad to educate you, kind of. Help you read it, whatever. Experience it with you. I'm not going to read the whole thing because there are details in it, like the chronology of everything before the Constitution was written. I don't know if I'll do the amendments, just because this is like 100 some odd pages. So we'll see how much I'll do. I might do the amendments. It's up in the air. It wouldn't hurt, really. But yeah. Let me take this down. Now, interesting. I did not know that. Huh. See, you learn something new every day. Thank you, JB. The actual Independence Day was April 17th, 1982 for Canada. And I mean, they still kind of use the crown and listen to the crown, don't they? Technically, to this day. It's kind of like in name only, sort of. But it's on their money still. It's not true independence if you just still worship their monarchy, I'm just saying. That's just me hating because that's what we do here in America. We'll get our hat to figure it out sometime. I'm not really going to do the separators because there's not really chapters in between. So I'll just start with I'm not going to read the introduction just because I don't know about like copyright issues. Barnes & Noble will be nice to me. I am providing commentary, but I don't really think that they can do copyright issues if I'm just reading the Constitution and the other contents like the Declaration of Independence, but and a quote. So that's what I'm going to start with. If everybody's ready, let's get to it, shall we? The sacred rights of mankind are not to be rummaged for among old parchments or musty records. They are written as with a sunbeam in the whole volume of human nature by the hand of the divinity itself and can never be erased. Alexander Hamilton, The Farmer Refuted, 1775. So I really enjoy that quote, and it is part of the beginning of this little booklet here. So I thought it would be nice to read it to y'all. And yeah, it's a good start to where we want to be. And I do want to give a shout out to Dom because when I picked him up from the airport for the con here, he gave me a couple of bookmarks. Y'all can see it. Yeah, fuck off. I'm reading. So I decided to use them today as my place markers to start the day off. Do you guys agree with that quote? Hey, your average patriot nerd. Thanks for coming by. Happy Independence Day, my friend. Oh, like usual, I'm really bad at this, but I did pin at the top of the chat my stream elements if anyone is interested in sending any donations my way. You don't have to, no requirement, but I do appreciate anybody who does. And I still appreciate anybody who doesn't, who is still here listening, or even on the replay. You guys rock as usual. And let's get started on the Constitution. And if anybody trickles in, I will chat with you after I get through all of the articles here with you. So let's start this. The Constitution of the United States of America. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Article 1. Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. Section 2. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. In parentheses, representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. Now, this was changed by Section 2 of the 14th Amendment, and that's why it was in parentheses. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in which manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least 1 representative, and until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other offices, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. By the way, Dom, Massachusetts beat New York, I would just like to state. For no real reason. Moving on. Section 3. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, parentheses, chosen by the legislature thereof, which was changed by the 17th Amendment and added in, for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the second year, of the second class at the expiration of the 4th year, and of the third class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every second year, as changed by the 17th Amendment, again in parentheses. And if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. The Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their other officers and also a president pro tempore, in the absence of the vice president, or when he shall exercise the office of the President of the United States. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be an oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law. Section 4. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, which was changed by Section 2 of the 20th Amendment, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Section 5. Each house shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business. But a smaller number may adjourn from day to day, and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each house may provide. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and, with a concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrecy. And the yeas and nays of the members of either house on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. Neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. Section 6. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time, and no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance in office. Section 7. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it become a law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he approve, he shall sign it, but if not, he shall return it with his objections to the House in which it shall have originated, who shall, under the objections at large on their journal, and proceed to reconsider it, who shall enter the objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it. If after such reconsideration 2/3 of that House shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent, together with the objections, to the other House, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered, and if approved by 2/3 of that House, it shall become a law. But in all such cases, the votes of both houses shall be determined by yeas and nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each House respectively. If any bill shall be returned by the President within 10 days, Sundays excepted, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be a law, in like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress by their adjournment prevent its return, in which case it shall not be a law. That was a mouthful. If any bill shall not be returned by the President within 10 days, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be a law, in like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress by their adjournment prevent its return, in which case it shall not be a law. Good Lord. I'm going to look into that further a little bit. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of Representatives may be necessary, except in a question of adjournment, shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disapproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and House of Representatives, according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. Section 8. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States, to regulate commerce from with foreign nations, and among the several states and with the Indian tribes, to establish an uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States, to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures, to provide for the punishments of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States, to establish post offices and post roads, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive rights to their respective writings and discoveries, to constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the law of nations, to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water, to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that shall use. Okay, let's try that again. To raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years. To provide and maintain a navy, to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces, to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions, to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by Congress. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding in 10 miles square, as may by cession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress become the seat of the government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers, and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States, or in any department or officer thereof. Section 9. The migration or importation of such persons. Let's try that again. Section 9. The migration or importation of such persons as any of the United States now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808. There's a typo, sorry. But a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation not exceeding $10 for each person. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obligated to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. An irregular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Section 10. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws. And the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States, and all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops, or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state, or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded, or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. Ooh, that is Article 1, everybody. Good Lord. It is a mouthful. Let's chat about Article 1 of the Constitution, shall we? It's a lot of information at once, huh? Ooh, did not mean to click that yet. Let me go back up. Oh, hey, Sam. Happy Independence Day. Truism, the Storm Crow. Hello. Yeah, happy Independence Day to you, too. That's one way to describe it. Hello again, Dom. And thank you. I have to dress up for special, important days. So that's why all this stuff. Thank you. I don't understand half of it, but I do want to go back and analyze it to try and understand it better. I mean, I understand it. That was a poor choice of phrasing, but yeah, they are good at borrowing money, aren't they? Yep. Lincoln isn't exactly the person that we were taught he was. Gravy D, hello, hello. Thanks for stopping by. Glad you're here. All right, who has questions? This is a lot of words. I know section 7, I definitely had all those phrases. Okay, so that's about revenue. Convolution or vote, which the concurrence. Basically talks about the president has to approve it or disapprove it. Okay. Anybody have questions? Want me to go over a section, taking notes? Is this class in order? Everybody awake? Yeah, Kel. There were certain things that I found questionable for what our current government does. So for anyone listening, he mentions all I got from it was that our current government is illegitimate, which is not an incorrect statement. There's a super sappy movie about time travel, and I hate pretty much all time travel. Always have questions. What is it called? I just watched it. It's with friggin' Meg Ryan and Hugh Jackman, where they focus on the fact that there's a bridge that when it was first built, they were doing like the ceremony for it, and it was so-and-so's erection, and how words have changed. It's always funny. You're listening. See, that's basically what this is. It's my pocket constitution. I'm definitely going to go back to it and reread some of these sections just to make sure I have a full understanding of what they are. Because our current government seems to not do that, where they definitely should be doing that. What's the name? Kate and Leopold. That's the name of the super corny, romantic comedy movie that I was talking about. Okay. Let's start with Article 2. Everybody ready? And write down any notes if you have questions, and we can go back to them. I am happy to communicate and chat with you guys to figure out what some things mean if they're not clear. If I stumble over anything, I apologize. It's never on purpose. Article 2, Section 1. The executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. Now, I'm going to read a change by the 12th Amendment. It's pretty long, so make sure you're listening carefully. So the 12th Amendment, the electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. And they shall make a list of all the persons voted for, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the President, if such number of a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. And if no person have a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the president. But in choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member of or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the president, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the vice president. But if there should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the vice president. End of the change by the 12th Amendment. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. The 25th Amendment, there is an additional change. In case of the removal of the president from office or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president, and the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability, both of the president and vice president, declaring what officer shall then act as president, and such officer shall act accordingly, until the disability be removed or a president shall be elected. Good old 25th Amendment. Recently, there was some reason that was brought up, right? Can't quite remember. You guys tell me. The president shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. I'm going to read that again just for solidarity because I feel like it's important. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Section 2. The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices, and he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. He shall have power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur. And he shall nominate and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. But the Congress may by law vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper in the President alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. The President shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session. Section 3. He shall from time to time give to the Congress information of the state of the Union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses or either of them, and in case of disagreement between them with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and shall commission all the officers of the United States. Section 4. The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. That was a short article, so I'm going to continue with Article 3 and possibly 4. Bear with me. Article 3, Section 1. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall, at stated times, receive for their services a compensation, which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Section 2. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made, or which shall be made, under their authority. To all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, changed by the 11th Amendment, between a state and citizens of another state, and the amendment, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under the grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof, and foreign states, citizens, or subjects. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, and those in which a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all the other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in the cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crimes shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. The Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture during the life of the person attainted. So that's Article 2 and 3. Basically, executive power and judicial power. Not basically, those are. So Article 2 is executive. Article 3 is judicial. They were way, way smaller in Article 1 for Congress, which I think is a good thing. Let me see. Looks like there's 7 articles. Yep. We're over halfway there. All right, let's check in, everybody. Okay. Let's see. What'd you say, JB? They originally didn't think anyone would be able to win a majority of electoral votes. They expected the state legislature to appoint the president. That makes sense. Oh, yeah. Choose is CHUSE. Choosing, chooses. Oh, every time I say choose in here, it's a fun little word. Oh, look at that. Let's go, Brandon. Oh, I have paint on one of them. I'm making a cosplay. Let's go, Brandon. And then I have not a bunch of shirts. I have a couple of shirts. I even have one that looks like Japanese from the Hodge twins. You just have to tilt your head and it says, "Let's go, Brandon." It's kind of funny. I adore that shirt. Yeah, I don't know when the 25th could ever be used, guys. Even though they tried to bring it up for Trump, which was friggin' hilarious to me. Yeah, it exists just in case we beat Medicare. Good plan. Oh, hey, Clinton. Happy Independence Day. Thanks for coming by. JB, am I putting you to sleep? I'm sorry. Wake you up when they get to the part where the federal government can do anything but revenue, defense, and interstate commerce. Oh, goodness. Oh, no. I lost my other bookmark. This is the other bookmark that Dom got for me. I have Katie. This actually looks like one of my cats, technically. Get it back where it belongs. Hope everybody's having a good 4th. Staying safe. Having fun. Taking names. All of that. You guys currently watching have fun plans? I hope you do. I don't really. I need to finish my cosplay because I haven't had a lot of time over the last 4 months to do so. doctor's appointments and work kind of throw your life into a friggin' loop. When you have plans outside of that, they tend to fall through, and it's unfortunate. But things are looking up. So you just got to keep moving forward, everybody. You already did your plans, Gravy. What were your plans? You did a barbecue with family, friends. You have some friends out here that we used to hang out with on holidays and stuff. Yeah, he knows what I would do if he brought me nothing but Yankees merch. I should have worn the jersey he gave me, though. It's my cousin's jersey for the Red Sox. Sitting at a truck stop in Joplin, huh? How's the driving going? Are you able to not work today? Like, do you have the day off, but technically you're in your truck? Nice. That's fine, Sam. Thank you for listening. Even though it would be helpful to have your analysis of things, because I'm not so good at that. Good at like discussing it with people, but doing it live as well is a little nerve-wracking. I did want to mention, so this was published in 2012. So if there's, amendments and such since that time, they won't be in this. Homemade pizza, nice. So you're working through the holiday then, huh? Your average patriot nerd. Sort of, I guess. Why am I so bad at remembering what IIRC means? I'm so bad at like all the internet lingo things. No worries. That's what it's here for too. I know that a lot of people can't catch it live, especially on a holiday. But I want people to be able to at least listen to it afterwards. If I recall correctly, thank you, Lord. Thank you, everybody. I'm such a noob to those terms. It's ridiculous. I'm not exactly born from the internet. I know like the basics of those stupid. And I'm also like a grammar Yahtzee. So I don't really like all of those little internet lingo things because they hurt my soul a little bit. So forgive my lack of understanding when it comes to this. I will remember if I recall correctly. Sometimes I like instantly remember it as I'm saying that I don't, but not today. All right, let's work on Article 4. It is interesting, like the first 3 articles, everybody has like the general basic understanding of Congress, executive, judicial. So it'll be interesting. Article 4, Section 1. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. And the Congress may, by general laws, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and the effect thereof. Section 2. The citizens of each state be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled, be delivered up, to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. 13th Amendment, altering, no person held to service or labor in one state under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered upon claim of the party to whom such service or labor may be due. Section 3. New states may be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction two or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislatures of the states concerned as well as of the Congress. The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States, and nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States or of any particular state. Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion, and on application of the legislature or of the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence. Oh. Article 4 was short as well. I apologize. Could have continued with that one. Article 5. This one has no sections, so it's even shorter. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution, or, on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which, in either case, shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution, when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the state. Article 6. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Article 7. The ratification of the conventions of 9 states shall be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between the states so ratifying the same. Done in convention by the unanimous consent of the states present the 7th day of September in the year of our Lord 1787, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 12th in witness whereof we have hereunto subscribed our names. George Washington, President and Deputy from Virginia. New Hampshire, John Langdon. Nicholas Gilman. Massachusetts, Nathaniel Gorham, Rufus King. Connecticut, William Samuel Johnson, Roger Sherman. Okay, so some of these names are abbreviated with just like 2 letters or 4 letters. So if I struggle, I apologize. Or if I say the wrong name, I apologize. New York, Alexander Hamilton. New Jersey, William Livingston. David Brearley, William Patterson, Jonathan Dayton. Okay, these are such weird abbreviations. So maybe it's Will Livingston. W-I-L colon Livingston. And then J-O-N-A colon Dayton. This is a struggle. I apologize. Pennsylvania, Benjamin Franklin, or B. Franklin. Thomas Mifflin, Robert Morris, George Clymer, Thomas Fitzsimmons, Jared Ingersoll, James Wilson, I have no idea, Morris. Gouv, G-O-U-V, Morris. If y'all can translate that, please let me know. That was for Pennsylvania. Delaware, George Reed, Gunning Bedford Jr., John Dickinson, Richard Bassett, Jacob Broom. Maryland, James McHenry, Dan of St. Thomas Jennifer, Daniel Carroll. Virginia, John Blair, James Madison Jr. North Carolina, William Blunt, Richard Dobbs Spate, Hugh Williamson. South Carolina, J. Rutledge, Charles Coatsworth Pinckney, Charles Pinckney, Pierce Butler. Georgia, William Few, Abraham Baldwin. Attest William Jackson's secretary. All right, so that was interesting. I don't know if y'all wanted to hear all the names, but I decided that I was going to read them to you. Yeah, impeach me from what precisely? Being Dermy's producer? Aw, thanks, Legatus. You acquitted. Hey, MSK, what's up? We know the book's getting cooked. I am not going to burn books, you psychopath. Thanks for being here. Happy Independence Day. Oh, he means literally. He's being a jerk. Yes, I felt they were the most appropriate. Yeah, Chop and Chaz are definitely out. Big robot news today. Hello. No, I am not in Boston. I'm from Montana, which left me free to choose a team. I'm currently in Colorado. Our family loves Boston because we had a cousin that played for the Sox in the 80s and 90s. So you live in Boston. I see. I wondered. Well, thank you for being here. Happy Independence Day and welcome. Yeah, that didn't compute for me either. It must be ye olden times type of name. Is that for real, Clinton? Governor Morris? Stop spelling like the Brits. Putting random U's in things. Don't make no goddamn sense. What do you guys think of those other articles? Short and sweet, which is pretty nice. They seemed more like housekeeping type of things that they could think of at the time that might like come back to burn them if they don't add them to the Constitution. So they kind of made sense. That's his real name? Really? All right. Well, happy birthday to your son-in-law, JB. It is also my father's birthday, so I'll be giving him a call after this. They're both Yankee Doodle dandies, it would seem. Which actually, thank you for that reminder, because I mayhaps have forgotten to call him before this. So, I'm a bad daughter. All right, so let me finish reading the Constitution. I don't exactly know like the conclusion of it after the articles. So, in Convention Monday, September 17th, 1787. Present the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, MR. Oh, Mr. Hamilton from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Resolved that the preceding Constitution be laid before the United States in Congress assembled, and that it is the opinion of this convention that it should afterwards be submitted to a convention of delegates chosen in each state by the people thereof, under the recommendation of its legislature for their assent and ratification, and that each convention assenting to and ratifying the same should give notice thereof of the United States in Congress assembled. Resolved, that is the opinion of this convention, that as soon as the conventions of 9 states shall have ratified this Constitution, the United States in Congress assembled should fix a day on which electors should be appointed by the states which have ratified the same, and a day on which the electors should assemble to vote for the president, and the time and place for commencing proceedings under this Constitution. That after such publication, the electors should be appointed, and the senators and representatives elected. That the electors should meet on the day fixed for the election of the president, and should transmit their votes certified, signed, sealed, and directed, as the Constitution requires, to the Secretary of the United States in Congress assembled. That the senators and representatives should convene at the time and place assigned. That the senators should appoint a president of the Senate for the sole purpose of receiving, opening, and counting the votes for president, and that after he shall be chosen, the Congress, together with the president, should, without delay, proceed to execute this Constitution. By the unanimous order of the convention, George Washington, President, William Jackson, Secretary. Let's see. Congress of the United States begun and held at the city of New York on Wednesday, the 4th of March, 1789. The conventions of a number, well, I guess I should emphasize the conventions of a number of the states having at the time of their adoption the Constitution, expressed a desire in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers, that further declaratory and restrictive clauses should be added, and as extending the ground of public confidence in the government will best ensure the beneficent ends of its institution. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America, in Congress assembled, 2/3 of both houses concurring that the following articles be proposed to the legislatures of the several states as amendments to the Constitution of the United States, all or any of which articles, when ratified by 3/4 of the said legislatures, to be valid to all intents and purposes as part of the said Constitution. I have no idea what VIZT means. It's an abbreviation at the end of that sentence. Articles in addition to an amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America proposed by Congress and ratified by the legislatures of the several states pursuant to the 5th article of the original Constitution. Frederick Augustus Muhlenberg, Speaker of the House of Representatives, John Adams, Vice President of the United States and President of the Senate, Attest John Beckley, Clerk of the House of the Representatives. Sam A. Otis, Secretary of the Senate. Ooh, neat. All right, before I get into the amendments. Psych, by the way, like I wasn't going to read the friggin' amendments. I'm going to take a drink of water. Okay, it might have been more than a drink. Your dad was a Sox fan, a huge Sox fan. The point of watching all the games. See, I'm not a Patriots or Celtics fan. I was born in California during like dynasty eras. So I'm a Lakers and Raiders fan. Don't hate me. I'm a Bruins and Sox fan though, so. That's true. It doesn't necessarily mean birding. Fenway is amazing. You were on the Green Monster. Okay, I'm super jealous. That's phenomenal. Cool story. Went to Fenway. It wasn't my first time, but went to Fenway after I got out of boot camp in 2009. Yeah, in 2009. Good Lord, I'm old. They were playing the Yankees. The story is for Dom. I don't think I've told him this story. So I had just graduated boot camp on Friday, and we drove up to Boston. I think we went to the game on Sunday, and the Sox won to complete the sweep of the Yankees. It was wonderful. It was amazing. I loved every second. It was the best graduation from boot camp present I could ask for. My whole family flew out, like immediate family, flew out, and we all drove to, from Paris Island, we drove to Boston. It was a lot of fun. It was great. It was the best. I loved it. Thank you, JB. I appreciate the knowledge you have on how to cook books. Okay. Let's read the amendments. Amendments to the Constitution of the United States of America. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Amendment 2. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Amendment 3. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. I just glanced up, Kel. Yes, commas are important. Amendment 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So you understand that. Warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. I feel like people don't fully understand what that means. It's not just like in Hollywood where they flash a warrant and then they enter your house. No, it has to have all of those issues spoken about right there on the warrant. And if it's incorrect, you can turn them away. So if your address is incorrect by 2 numbers, it's not your house. They don't have the right to enter. So look at those things seriously. Amendment 5. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Okay, this is for double jeopardy as well. Sorry. No, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Fifth Amendment. All right. Amendment 6. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Amendment 7. In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. Amendment 8. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Amendment 9. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Amendment 10. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. Amendment 11. The 11th Amendment was ratified February 7th, 1795. The judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity, commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States by citizens of another state or by citizens or subjects of any foreign state. The 12th Amendment was ratified June 15th, 1804. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in their ballots the person voted for as president, and in distinct ballots the person voted for as vice president. And they shall make distinct lists of all persons voted for as president, and of all persons voted for as vice president, and of the numbers of votes for each, which lists they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president, if such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if no person have such majority, then from the persons having the highest numbers not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for as president, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. And if the House of Representatives shall not choose a president whenever the right of choice shall devolve upon them before the 4th day of March next following, then the vice president shall act as president, as in the case of the death or other constitutional disability of the president. Lord, that's superseded by Section 3 of the 20th Amendment. The person having the greatest number of votes as vice president shall be the vice president, if such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if no person have a majority, then from the 2 highest numbers on the list, the Senate shall choose the vice president. A quorum for the purpose shall consist of 2/3 of the whole number of senators, and a majority of the whole number shall be necessary to a choice. But no person constitutionally ineligible to the office of president shall be eligible to the office of vice president of the United States. All right, I need to point out that it is extremely interesting, starting in 1804, how long these amendments get. So 1804 was the 12th Amendment, and that's where it started, like lengthy amendments to the Constitution. Because the 13th in 1865, when it was ratified, starts with Section 1, Section 2. The 14th Amendment, ratified 1868, has 5 sections. And then 2 years later, it starts to go down where there's not sections for the next few amendments. And then in 1933 is when they start getting higher and higher. Lord Almighty. You guys let me know. Do you want me to continue reading all of the amendments? So that was the 12th. I stopped at the 13th Amendment. Page 67, and it goes all the way to page 79. I miss less is more being a common thing. I feel like the more that they try to clarify leaves room for interpretation that they weren't meaning to have. Or, on the other hand, it's more to clarify so it can be misinterpreted, and they can just continuously deliberate on it like they want it to be misinterpreted. Is that a nihilistic view? I hope not. Probably is. Sam? It's not that important. Do you guys want me to skip around to what you feel are the more important ones? Or I can just continue. I'll just continue. especially because of Mr. Snarky commentary on the 19th Amendment. The 13th Amendment was ratified December 6th, 1865. Section 1. Neither slavery nor really? Let's start. 13th Amendment, Section 1. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States, or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Section 2. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. And leave your commentary to yourselves, where I offered to stop at the 13th Amendment. That was not on purpose. Amendment 14. The 14th Amendment was ratified July 9th, 1868. Did I do that with freaking 13th too? 1865. Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Section 2. Representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. But when the right to vote at any election for the choice of electors for President and Vice President of the United States, representatives in Congress, the executive and judicial officers of a state, or the members of the legislature thereof, is denied to any of the male inhabitants of such state, being 21 years of age and citizens of the United States, or in any way abridged except for participation in rebellion or other crime, the basis of representation therein shall be reduced in the proportion which the numbers of such male citizens shall bear to the whole number of male citizens 21 years of age in such state. Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who have previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. Section 4. The validity of the public department of the United States, authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or any claim for the loss or emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. Section 5. The Congress shall have power to enforce, by appropriate legislation, the provisions of this article. Amendment 15. The 15th Amendment was ratified February 3rd, 1870. Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Section 2. The Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 16. The 16th Amendment was ratified February 3rd, 1913. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states and without regard to any census or enumeration. So everybody in agreement, we can get rid of that one? Boo. Taxation is theft. Amendment 17. The 17th Amendment was ratified April 8, 1913. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, elected by the people thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. The electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislatures. When vacancies happen in the representation of any state in the Senate, the executive authority of such state shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies, provided that the legislature of any state may empower the executive thereof to make temporary appointments until the people fill the vacancies by election as the legislature may direct. This amendment shall not be so construed as to affect the election or term of any senator chosen before it becomes valid as part of the Constitution. Amendment 18, which was later repealed. So the 18th Amendment was ratified January 16th, 1919, and later repealed by the 21st Amendment, December 5th, 1933. So between that time, Section 1, after 1 year from the ratification of this article, the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquors within, the importation thereof into, or the exportation thereof from the United States and all territories subject to the jurisdiction thereof for beverage purposes is hereby prohibited. This is kind of funny. It's re-educating my brain, like the dates and time frames for these amendments and like how it's set up. It's amendment number. And I always think of them as like the 18th Amendment, not Amendment 18. So it throws me off. Section 2. The Congress and the several states shall have concurrent power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. This amendment is so ridiculous. I can't believe it was ever passed. It's a pearl-clutching bullshit. Section 3. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of the several states, as provided in the Constitution, within 7 years from the date of the submission hereof to the states by the Congress. Amendment 19, Sam, the 19th Amendment, was ratified August 18th, 1920. The rights of the citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Some days I do agree with you, Sam, and it should be repealed. Amendment 20. The 20th Amendment was ratified January 23rd, 1933. Section 1. The terms of the President and Vice President shall end at noon on the 20th day of January, and the terms of Senators and Representatives at noon on the 3rd day of January, of the years in which such terms would have ended if this article had not been ratified, and the terms of their successors shall then begin. Section 2. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall begin at noon on the 3rd day of January, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Section 3. If, at the time fixed for the beginning of the term of the President-elect shall have died, the Vice President-elect shall become President. If a President shall not have been chosen before the time fixed for the beginning of his term, or if the President-elect shall have failed to qualify, then the Vice President-elect shall act as President until a President shall have qualified. And the Congress may by law provide for the case wherein neither a president-elect nor a vice president-elect shall have qualified, declaring who shall then act as president, or the manner in which one who is to act shall be selected, and such person shall act accordingly until a president or vice president shall have qualified. Section 4. The Congress may by law provide for the case of the death of any of the persons from whom the House of Representatives may choose a president whenever the right of choice shall have devolved upon them, and for the case of the death of any of the persons from whom the Senate may choose a vice president whenever the right of choice shall have devolved upon them. Section 5. Sections 1 and 2 shall take effect on the 15th day of October following the ratification of this article. Section 6. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states within 7 years from the date of its submission. Ooh. Amendment 21. The 21st Amendment was ratified December 5th, 1933. Section 1. The 18th Article of Amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. Section 2. The transportation or importation into any state, territory, or possession of the United States for delivery or use therein of intoxicating liquors in violation of the laws thereof is hereby prohibited. Section 3. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by conventions in the several states, as provided in the Constitution, within 7 years of the date of the submission hereof to the states by the Congress. Amendment 22. The 22nd Amendment was ratified February 27th, 1951. Section 1. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of president more than once. But this article shall not apply to any person holding the office of president when this article was proposed by the Congress, and shall not prevent any person who may be holding the office of president or acting as president during the term within which this article becomes operative from holding the office of president or acting as president during the remainder of such term. Section 2. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states within 7 years from the date of its submission to the states by the Congress. Amendment 23. The 23rd Amendment was ratified March 29th, 1961. Section 1. The district constituting the seat of government of the United States shall appoint in such manner as the Congress may direct a number of electors of president and vice president equal to the whole number of senators and representatives in Congress to which the district would be entitled if it were a state, but in no event more than the least populous state. They shall be in addition to those appointed by the states, but they shall be considered for the purposes of the election of president and vice president to be electors appointed by a state. And they shall meet in the district and perform such duties as provided by the 12th Article of Amendment. Section 2. The Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 24. The 24th Amendment was ratified January 23rd, 1964. Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors for president or vice president, or for senator or representative in Congress, shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay any poll tax or other tax. Section 2. The Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. The 25th Amendment, Amendment 25, the 25th Amendment was ratified February 10th, 1967. Section 1. In case of the removal of the president from office or of his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. Section 2. Whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the vice president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation by a majority vote of both houses of Congress. Section 3. Whenever the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, and until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the vice president as acting president. Okay, wait, just a second. Whenever the president transmits to the president. All right, what does pro tempore mean? Bear with me. Okay, so for the time being. So whenever the president transmits to the president for the time being of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives has written declaration that he's unable to discharge the powers. His written. So he has to decide himself and then write the declaration. That's retarded. Okay. That's so counterintuitive. This is written poorly. And until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary. So what if he's not cognitive? He's not capable of writing that. He just goes on existing until the end of his term. Okay, whatever. Maybe that was section 3. Moving on. Section 4. Whenever the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office of acting president. Okay. Carry on reading, Tiffany, and you might get your answer. Thereafter, when the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume the powers and duties of his office unless the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive department or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit within 4 days to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives the written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Thereupon, Congress shall decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for that purpose, if not in session. If the Congress, within 21 days after receipt of the latter written declaration, or if Congress is not in session, within 21 days after Congress is required to assemble, determines by 2/3 vote of both houses that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall continue to discharge the same as acting president. Otherwise, the president shall resume the powers and duties of his office. Amendment 26. The 26th Amendment was ratified July 1st, 1971. Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. Section 2. Can you guess? The Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 27. The 27th Amendment was proposed on September 25th, 1789, and ratified 203 years later, on May 7th, 1992. Good job, JB. No law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened. And that was the last amendment in 1992. Any questions? This is a little different type of book to be reading to people. I feel like with ye olden times way of speaking, not that all of them are that long ago, it makes it harder to understand when it's an audio type of thing, video format. Maybe that's just me. I am the type of person that's visual for, like, if I'm not able to understand something verbal, like just speaking with someone, I need to like physically see it and interpret it myself. And you know, when I stumble over the words sometimes, probably doesn't help y'all's brains comprehend everything at once. Yeah. Which amendment do you hate the most? I would like to know. The 16th kind of sucks. I mean, the 21st bringing back, like, getting rid of prohibition, it's great and all. I don't really understand the reasoning behind the transportation or importation across state lines or territories and blah, blah, blah. Part of it is kind of annoying. Do y'all have like a reasoning behind that you know of? Like, it's just really annoying that you can't cross state lines with liquor. Congress is supposed to represent the people of the federal government. The Senate is supposed to represent the states. Yes. There are more lawyers and this is very close now. Yeah. I feel like we're in it. George Bush Sr. was in surgery for half a day. When was George Bush Sr.'s term, JB? Because I may not have been born yet. Or I might have just been born. So no, I don't remember that. But that makes sense. I mean, it's necessary for certain things, obviously, such as those type of situations. And like when Reagan was hospitalized. Fun fact, Reagan had rectal cancer removed. A few days later, his VP, George Bush, had cancer removed from his nose. Alrighty then. Thanks, JB. You were around in 1992 and don't remember hearing anything about it. I know it's a loaded question. I'm the one that's live here. I'm going to stick to the, what was it, 16th Amendment being the worst. Do doctors routinely check the noses of underlings in the bathroom? Oh my God, shut up, JB. Bring back the 18th? Really, Cal? Really? You of all people? I doubt you're serious, sir. Question, how come your pocket constitution isn't pocket sized, but mine is? Okay. Pockets are relative sizes. Mine's sort of a pocket size. You can put it in some sort of pocket, I'm sure. Okay, so I was born in 89, so I had just been born in like somewhat the middle. Yes, the 16th could be amended or just repealed in general. Get rid of all of them. Need the 18th to summon your mutants in peril. I see. It's a sacrifice you're willing to make, I see. Or we could just like make a specific one for that specific person. That's totally legal, right? Just a reminder, as I'm not really good at doing that, but sometimes I remember. I do have my stream elements pinned to the top of the chat if anyone would like to donate. And apparently I need to focus on that. Kel, thank you for your 1776 tip. Mercup. Yeah. Thank you, Kel. I appreciate that. Maybe a new amendment abolishing the state of Kansas. Okay, what do you have against Kansas? Hi, Mike has bad knees. How are you? Happy Independence Day, sir. Thanks for swinging by. Legatus, the 22nd needs to be amended to include term limits, to include Congress, Senate, and judges too. Yeah, I completely agree with that. 100%. All right, everybody. I hope your day is going well. I really appreciate you guys spending some of your time with me. Now that we finished all the amendments, it's time for the Declaration of Independence. I'm pretty excited for. Yes, but there's other people there. It's not nice just for Dermy to get rid of it. You know what he would hate? How about we merge it with Arkansas, and just make it all Arkansas? He'd love that. I love that. I mean, he would hate it, and it would make me very happy. If JB were elected president, he would make America, the national anthem. Yes, I love it. Then fire the government and resign. It works for me. Are you also reading the unedited Declaration of Independence? I don't know. The unanimous declaration of the third. Oh, I see what you're meaning. Got it. The Declaration of Independence. Action of Second Continental Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great England is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, For abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. For suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas and ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is, at this time, transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince, whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant, is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity. I am so bad at pronouncing that. I apologize. Magnanimity. Whatever. And we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations which would have inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. Consanguinity? We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. The 56 signatures on the declaration appear in the positions indicated. Georgia, Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, George Walton. North Carolina, William Hooper, Joseph Hughes, John Penn. South Carolina, Edward Rutledge, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., Arthur Middleton. Massachusetts, John Hancock. Maryland, Samuel Chase, William Paca, Thomas Stone, Charles Carroll of Carrollton, Virginia, George White, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Nelson Jr., Francis Lightfoot Lee, Carter Braxton. Pennsylvania, Robert Morris, Benjamin Rush, Benjamin Franklin, John Morton, George Clymer, James Smith, George Taylor, James Wilson, George Ross. Delaware, Caesar Rodney, George Reed, Thomas McKean. New York, William Floyd, Philip Livingston, Francis Lewis, Lewis Morris. New Jersey, Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon, Francis Hopkinson, John Hart, Abraham Clark. New Hampshire, Josiah Bartlett, William Whipple. Massachusetts, Samuel Adams, John Adams, Robert Treat Paine, Elbridge Gerry. Rhode Island, Stephen Hopkins, William Ellery. Connecticut, Roger Sherman, Samuel Huntington, William Williams, Oliver Wolcott. New Hampshire, Matthew Thornton. $56 signatures, guys. It's a lot to think about. What these men were willing to sacrifice for their freedoms. And just like the similarities of the crimes against the people, essentially, that they listed out, those are being mirrored today. And it's a little frustrating. Like 56 signatures, just 56 men standing up against tyranny. And the world is so much bigger, and our nation is falling apart, and it's frustrating. And we all need to just come together to fix the problems. Thank you, Sam. Magnanimity. There, I said it. Okay, now that that's out, let's see. I feel like I saw mud crab. Ah, hello. Yes, I do. This is what happens when I decide to doll up or whatever. I don't do that often. Rude. Seriously? Mud crab? Be nice to my cats, friend. When it becomes necessary to utter a word, the whole planet must be bathed in blood. Nice, Sam. Oh, wait, that's Nosgoth, not America. Yes, I giggled internally, but it was a bit more serious, so I didn't giggle like Great England. Manly firmness sounds like an erection. When reading that, I couldn't help but think of National Treasure. It's such a good movie. And Nicolas Cage plays his part well, especially when speaking the Declaration of Independence. No, I'm going to read all of the names, Legatus, because they're important. There was no way I wasn't going to read those names. Sorry. Love you, my guy, but I needed to. And this is exactly why everyone who signed that signed their own death warrant from the crown. Like, had they lost, they were done. They were done. Not their freedoms. Many of them knew theirs and their children's would be sacrificed for us, for our freedoms. Exactly. Love you, Legatus. Yeah, I plan on watching it. That, Independence Day, and probably The Patriot at some point. Like, the heavy weight upon their pens. I can't even really imagine it. You guys let me know. Would you like me to read the Articles of the Confederation as well? Yes. Jaws is a good one to watch every Independence Day. You are correct. Mike has bad knees. And Sam. Imagine the amount of fed up it would take. And they were under a much less oppressive government is what we have. It's true. It's so difficult right now because we are a huge country to organize that amount of people. It's pretty difficult to do. And there's just so many things factoring into it. But also at the same time, we are so privileged that people will make up excuses not to recognize what you're saying. I'm one of them. I'm sitting here making up excuses. It's such a huge country, organizing so many people. It's a lot to think about. All right. I shall read the Articles of Confederation. They aren't too long. Agreed to by Congress November 15, 1777. Ratified and in force March 1st, 1781. Preamble. To all to whom these presents shall come, we, the undersigned delegates of the states affixed to our names, send greeting. Whereas the delegates of the United States of America in Congress assembled did on the 15th day of November in the year of our Lord, 1777, and in the second year of the independence of America, agree to certain articles of confederation and perpetual union between the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, and Providence Plantations, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Article 1. The style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. Article 2. Each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence, and every power, jurisdiction, and right which is not by this confederation expressly delegated to the United States in Congress assembled. Article 3. The said states hereby severally enter into a firm league of friendship with each other for their common defense, the security of their liberties, and their mutual and general welfare, binding themselves to assist each other against all force offered to or attacks made upon them or any of them on account of religion, sovereignty, trade, or any pretense whatever. Article 4. The better to secure and perpetuate mutual friendship and intercourse among the people of the different states in this union, the free inhabitants of each of these states, paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives from justice excepted, shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of free citizens in the several states. And the people of each state shall have free ingress and regress to and from any other state, and shall enjoy therein all the privileges of trade and commerce, subject to the same duties, impositions, and restrictions as the inhabitants thereof respectively, provided that such restrictions shall not extend so far as to prevent the removal of property imported into any state to any other state, of which the owner is an inhabitant. Provided also that no imposition, duties, or restriction shall be laid by any state on the property of the United States or either of them. If any person guilty of or charged with treason, felony, or other high misdemeanor in any state shall flee from justice and be found in any of the United States, he shall, upon demand of the governor or executive power of the state from which he fled, be delivered up and removed to the state having jurisdiction of his offense. Full faith and credit shall be given in each of these states to the records, acts, and judicial proceedings of the courts and magistrates of every other state. Article 5. For the most convenient management of the general interests of the United States, delegates shall be annually appointed in such manner as the legislatures of each state shall direct, to meet in Congress on the first Monday in November in every year, with a power reserved to each state to recall its delegates, or any of them, at any time within the year, and to send others in their stead for the remainder of the year. No state shall be represented in Congress by less than 2, nor more than 7 members. And no person shall be capable of being a delegate for more than 3 years in any term of 6 years. Nor shall any person being a delegate be capable of holding any office under the United States for which he or another for his benefit receives any salary, fees, or emolument of any kind. Each state shall maintain its own delegates in a meeting of the states, and while they act as members of the committee of the states. In determining questions in the United States in Congress assembled, each state shall have 1 vote. Freedom of speech and debate in Congress shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place of Congress, and the members shall be protected in their persons from arrests or imprisonments during the time of their going to and from and attendance on Congress, except for treason, felony, or breach of the peace. Article 6. No state, without the consent of the United States in Congress assembled, shall send any embassy to or receive any embassy from, or enter into any conference, agreement, alliance, or treaty with any king, prince, or state. Nor shall any person holding any office of profit or trust under the United States, or any of them except any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Nor shall the United States in Congress assembled, or any of them, grant any title of nobility. No 2 or more states shall enter into any treaty, confederation, or alliance whatever between them without the consent of the United States in Congress assembled, specifying accurately the purposes for which the same is to be entered into, and how long it shall continue. No state shall lay any imposts or duties which may interfere with any stipulations in treaties entered into by the United States in Congress assembled with any king, prince, or state, in pursuance of any treaties already proposed by Congress to the courts of France and Spain. No vessels of war shall be kept up in time of peace by any state, except such number only as shall be deemed necessary by the United States in Congress assembled, for the defense of such state or its trade. Nor shall any body of forces be kept up by any state in time of peace, except such number only as in the judgment of the United States in Congress assembled shall be deemed requisite to garrison the forts necessary for the defense of such state. But every state shall always keep up a well-regulated and disciplined militia, sufficiently armed and accoutred, and shall provide and constantly have ready for use in public stores a due number of field pieces and tents, and a proper quantity of arms, ammunition, and camp equipage. No state shall engage in any war without the consent of the United States in Congress assembled, unless such state be actually invaded by enemies, or shall have received certain advice of a resolution being formed by some nation of Indians to invade such state, and the danger is so imminent as not to admit of a delay till the United States in Congress assembled can be consulted. Nor shall any state grant commissions to any ships or vessels of war, nor letters of marque or reprisal, except be after a declaration of war by the United States in Congress assembled, and then only against the kingdom or state and the subjects thereof, against which war has been so declared, and under such regulations as shall be established by the United States in Congress assembled, unless such state be infested by pirates, in which case vessels of war may be fitted out for that occasion, and kept so long as the danger shall continue, or until the United States in Congress assembled shall determine otherwise. Article 7. When land forces are raised by any state for the common defense, all officers of or under the rank of colonel shall be appointed by the legislature of each state respectively, by whom such forces shall be raised, or in such manner as such state shall direct, and all vacancies shall be filled up by the state which first made the appointment. Article 8. All charges of war and all other expenses that shall be incurred from the common defense or general welfare and allowed by the United States in Congress assembled shall be defrayed out of a common treasury, which shall be supplied by the several states in proportion to the value of all land within each state, granted or surveyed for any person, as such land and the buildings and improvements thereon shall be estimated according to such mode as the United States in Congress assembled shall from time to time direct and appoint. The taxes for paying that proportion shall be laid and levied by the authority and direction of the legislatures of the several states within the time agreed upon by the United States in Congress assembled. Article 9. The United States in Congress assembled shall have the sole and exclusive right and power of determining on peace and war, except in the cases mentioned in the 6th article of sending and receiving ambassadors, entering into treaties and alliances, provided that no treaty of commerce shall be made whereby the legislative power of the respective states shall be restrained from imposing such imposts and duties on foreigners, as their own people are subject to, or from prohibiting the exportation or importation of any species of goods or commodities whatsoever. Of establishing rules for deciding in all cases what captures on land or water shall be legal, and in what manner prizes taken by land or naval forces in the service of the United States shall be divided or appropriated. Of granting letters of marque and reprisal in times of peace, appointing courts for the trial of piracies and felonies committed on the high seas, and establishing courts for receiving and determining finally appeals in all cases of captures, provided that no member of Congress shall be appointed a judge of any of the said courts. The United States in Congress assembled shall also be the last resort on appeal in all disputes and differences now subsisting, or that hereafter may arise between two or more states concerning boundary, jurisdiction, or any other causes whatever. which authority shall always be exercised in the manner following. Whenever the legislative or executive authority or lawful agent of any state in controversy with another shall represent a petition to Congress stating the matter in question and praying for a hearing, notice thereof shall be given by order of Congress to the legislative or executive authority of the other state in controversy, and a day assigned for the appearance of the parties by their lawful agents, who shall then be directed to appoint by joint consent commissioners or judges to constitute a court for hearing and determining the matter in question. But if they cannot agree, Congress shall name 3 persons out of each of the United States, and from the list of such persons, each party shall alternatively strike out 1, the petitioner's beginning, until the number shall be reduced to 13. And from that number, not less than 7 nor more than 9 names, as Congress shall direct, shall in the presence of Congress be drawn out by lot, and the persons whose names shall be so drawn, or any 5 of them, shall be commissioners or judges to hear and finally determine the controversy. So always as a major part of the judges who shall hear the cause shall agree in the determination. And if either party shall neglect to attend at the day appointed without showing reasons, which Congress shall judge sufficient, or being present shall refuse to strike, the Congress shall proceed to nominate 3 persons out of each state, and the Secretary of Congress shall strike in behalf of such party absent or refusing. And the judgment and sentence of the court to be appointed in the manner before prescribed shall be final and conclusive. And if any of the parties shall refuse to submit to the authority of such court, or to appear or defend their claim or cause, the court shall nevertheless proceed to pronounce sentence or judgment, which shall in like manner be final and decisive. The judgment or sentence and other proceedings being in either case transmitted to Congress and lodged among the acts of Congress for the security of the parties concerned, provided that every commissioner, before he sits in judgment, shall take an oath to be administered by one of the judges of Supreme or Superior Court of the state, where the cause shall be tried, well and truly to hear and determine the matter in question, according to the best of his judgment, without favor, affection, or hope of reward. Provided also that no state shall be deprived of territory for the benefit of the United States. All controversies concerning the private right of soil claimed under different grants of 2 or more states, whose jurisdictions as they may respect such lands, and the states which passed such grants are adjusted, the said grants, or either of them being at the same time claimed to have originated antecedent to such settlement of jurisdiction, shall, on the petition of either party to the Congress of the United States, be finally determined as near as may be in the same manner as is before prescribed for deciding disputes respecting territorial jurisdiction between different states. The United States in Congress assembled shall also have the sole and exclusive right and power of regulating the alloy and value of coin struck by their own authority, or by that of the respective states, fixing the standards of weights and measures throughout the United States, regulating the trade and managing all affairs with the Indians, not members of any of the states, provided that the legislative right of any state within its own limits be not infringed or violated, establishing or regulating post offices from one state to another throughout all the United States, and exacting such postage on the papers passing through the same as may be requisite to defray the expenses of the said office. Appointing all officers of the land forces in the service of the United States, excepting regimental officers. Appointing all the officers of the naval forces and commissioning all officers whatever in the service of the United States. Making rules for the government and regulation of the said land and naval forces and directing their operations. The United States in Congress assembled shall have authority to appoint a committee to sit in the recess of Congress to be denominated a committee of the states and to consist of 1 delegate from each state, and to appoint such committees, and civil officers as may be necessary for managing the general affairs of the United States under their direction. To appoint one of their members to preside, providing that no person be allowed to serve in the office of president more than 1 year in any term of 3 years. To ascertain the necessary sums of money to be raised for the service of the United States, and to appropriate and apply the same for defraying the public expenses. To borrow money or emit bills on the credit of the United States, transmitting every half year to the respective states on account of the sums of money so borrowed or emitted. To build and equip a navy. To agree upon the number of land forces and to make requisitions from each state for its quota in proportion to the number of white inhabitants in such state, which requisition shall be binding, and thereupon the legislature of each state shall appoint the regimental officers, raise the men, and clothe, arm, and equip them in a solid like manner, at the expense of the United States. And the officers and men so clothed, armed, and equipped shall march to the place appointed, and within the time agreed on by the United States in Congress assembled. But if the United States in Congress assembled shall, on consideration of circumstances, judge proper that any state should not raise men, or should raise a smaller number of men than the quota thereof, such extra number shall be raised, officered, clothed, armed, and equipped in the same manner as the quota of each state, unless the legislature of such state shall judge that such extra number cannot be safely spread out in the same, in which case they shall raise, officer, clothe, arm, and equip as many of such extra number as they judge can be safely spared. And the officers and men so clothed, armed, and equipped shall march to the place appointed, and within the time agreed on by the United States in Congress assembled. The United States in Congress assembled shall never engage in a war, nor grant letters of marque or reprisal in time of peace, nor enter into any treaties or alliances, nor coin money, nor regulate the value thereof, nor ascertain the sums and expenses necessary for the defense and welfare of the United States, or any of them, nor emit bills, nor borrow money on the credit of the United States, nor appropriate money, nor agree upon the number of vessels of war to be built or purchased, or the number of land or sea forces to be raised, nor appoint a commander-in-chief of the army or navy, unless 9 states assent to the same. Nor shall a question on any other point, except for adjourning from day to day to be determined, unless by the votes of the majority of the United States in Congress assembled. The Congress of the United States shall have power to adjourn to any time within the year, and to any place within the United States, so that no period of adjournment be for a longer duration than the space of 6 months, and shall publish the journal of their proceedings monthly, except such parts thereof relating to treaties, alliances, or military operations, as in their judgment require secrecy, and the yeas and nays of the delegates of such states on any question shall be entered on the journal, when it is desired by any delegate, and the delegates of a state, or any of them, at his or their request, shall be furnished with a transcript of the said journal, except such parts are above accepted to lay further legislatures of the several states. Sorry this is so long. That was Article 9. Moving on to Article 10. The committee of the states, or any 9 of them, shall be authorized to execute in the recess of Congress such of the powers of Congress as the United States in Congress assembled, by the consent of the 9 states, shall from time to time think expedient to vest them with, provided that no power be delegated to the said committee, for the exercise of which, by the Articles of Confederation, the voice of 9 states in the Congress of the United States assembled be requisite. I'm going to be a pro at saying the states in the Congress of the United States assembled by the end of this. Lord hope. Article 11. Canada, acceding to this confederation and adjoining in the measures of the United States, shall be admitted into and entitled to all the advantages of this union, but no other colony shall be admitted into the same, unless such admission be agreed to by 9 states. Article 12. By the way, you're welcome, Canada. All bills of credit emitted, moneys borrowed, and debts contracted by or under the authority of Congress before the assembling of the United States in pursuance of the present confederation shall be deemed and considered as a charge against the United States, for payment and satisfaction whereof the said United States and the public faith are hereby solemnly pledged. Article 13. Every state shall abide by the determination of the United States in Congress assembled on all questions which by this confederation are submitted to them. And the article of this confederation shall be inviolably observed by every state, and the union shall be perpetual. Nor shall any alteration at any time hereafter be made in any of them, unless such alteration be agreed to in a Congress of the United States, and be afterwards confirmed by the legislatures of every state. And whereas it hath pleased the great governor of the world to incline the hearts of the legislatures we respectively represent in Congress to approve of and to authorize us to ratify the said articles of confederation and perpetual union. Know ye that we, the undersigned delegates, by virtue of the power and authority to us given for that purpose, do by these presents in the name and in behalf of our respective constituents fully and entirely ratify and confirm each and every of the said articles of confederation and perpetual union, and all and singular the matters and things therein contained. And we do further solemnly plight and engage the faith of our respective constituents, that they shall abide by the determinations of the United States in Congress assembled on all questions which by the said confederation are submitted to them, and that the articles thereof shall be inviolably observed by the states we respectively represent, and that the union shall be perpetual. In witness thereof, we have hereunto set our hands in Congress. Done at Philadelphia in the state of Pennsylvania, the 9th day of July, in the year of our Lord 1778, and in the 3rd year of the independence of America. And per Legatus's request earlier, I'm not going to read all of the names that I've already read previously, but they're there, as with all of the states. I'm talked out, or I'm read out. That, my friends, was the Constitution of the United States of America with the Declaration of Independence. What do you think? Pretty important, right? Yeah, this is a pretty good document. Very wordy, though, which is kind of how they were back then, so I give them a pass. Okay, your average patriot nerd. As a Christian, just saying our country has in general turned from our Creator and His ways. We have a godless, moral, and ethical problem in our country. Until that gets fixed, it will be difficult. I don't disagree with that. I'm not particularly religious, but we do have a bit of a problem. Independence was organized in a pub over beer and whiskey. I always got a bottle of whiskey. Marines are very proud of that, by the way. Extremely proud of that. I should have worn my ring. Legatus, as in history, any nation or empire survives on average 250 years. Usually they fall from within rather than externally. And a civilization at 340 on average. So who knows what will happen shortly. Yes, but I am not going to black pill. If we work together, it won't happen. Yes, mud crab. That's how I read it in my head as well. Our pirates. Legatus, I know what IMO is, but thank you for the clarification. Fra, hello. Happy Independence Day. How's it going? How's the fam? Merca. Nice. Well, I am glad you stopped by. Thank you, sir. I hope all of your grilling and charring of burgers goes well. I've never been sorry this long before. What? I don't know what you mean. Article 11, part of the reason for the manifest destiny that all of North America be ruled under one government. I do believe I'm too far. Just making sure I know. Yeah. Yep. Okay. I don't know. I can't definitively say that. I feel like that probably is correct, though. Don't have it. Can't do. Thank you, Sam. I'm actually really glad that I did this. I was a little nervous because I'm always nervous. I don't know what I'm talking about. Gotten better, but never did get to the part where the feds do anything besides revenue. Yeah. Do I want to read a dark fact, Mudcrab? Let's see. Men were hung, drawn, and quartered for high treason. Women got burnt. For low treason, you didn't get quartered, which makes all the difference. Well, yeah. I will look out for that. My phone's on silent. I probably got the notification, Sam. Noted. Thanks for listening while you edited. I don't know how you can do that. Like, listen to yourself and then also listen to other videos, but awesome. I'll check it out. Well, everybody, thank you so much for sticking it out with me. Sorry if it got wordy at times. Sometimes ye olden speak, as I keep referring to it as their commas are misplaced as per modern English. So it gets a little difficult to read and put all the proper pauses in location. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Really glad I did this, as I mentioned before. I really appreciate you guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, share this around, get more people to come in and hang out with me every Thursday. And I did announce on Twitter, but not all of you are on Twitter. Next week, Haunting of Hill House, which I did receive recently in the mail, is our next cook in the books. It did beat Frankenstein, basically because of all of you who voted on YouTube. Frankenstein won on Twitter, but as the maths came out, The Haunting of Hill House won. So the next time I do horror genre, it will be Frankenstein because he came in second and Sam would kill me if I don't. So I'll be nice to him this once. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your 4th. Happy Independence Day. Make sure you don't blow any fingers off and you stay safe and have a great time with yourself, your family, your friends, whoever you're hanging out with. And I will see you next time. Bye.